Welcome to the first day of July. My name is Tammy, and this is where all the new characters for new releases gather.
God bless America, my home sweet.
So, as you have gathered from the title, today we're going to be talking about all the new releases that caught my attention for the month of July. And in theory, they are in release order on my laptop. No promises, however. Okay. First up, at 363 pages, would be The Museum of Second Chances by Joe Levers. And it sounds so intriguing. Every morning, Evelyn Silver walks the shoreline before the rest of Port East wakes up, gathering what the tide leaves behind. Broken cups, lost trinkets, objects others have discarded. In her small museum of maritime curiosities, each one earns its place, because to Evelyn, every forgotten thing deserves to have its story told. At the heart of the museum lies her most precious possession, a fragment of Cornish lace, found pinned to her blanket when she was abandoned as a newborn. For over 60 years, she has kept it close, hoping someone might one day recognize it and tell her who she really is. So when the local council threatens to close the museum, Evelyn stands to lose far more than her livelihood. Forced out of her solitude, she rallies the community around the museum's curious collection. And as the objects begin to live up to their secrets, lives start to intertwine in ways nobody expected. Because sometimes the most precious things aren't lost at all. They are simply waiting to be claimed. Tell me that does not sound intriguing. Okay, also on the 1st of July, this is The Bachelor Spy by Pepper Basham. It is book 5 in the Freddie and Grace mystery series. It is 320 pages, and I'll read you the description. Spies infiltrate Havensbrook Hall, and another mystery adventure begins. Stephen Blake's life goal is to protect people, especially those closest to him. But war in 1914 England doesn't follow any rules. When Blake is informed that a noted German spy may have taken up residence in Havensbrook Hall, his cousin, Lord Astley's estate, which is being used as a convalescent war hospital, he's sent there to uncover the plot. Lady Grace Astley has become a force to be reckoned with, while Frederick is out on the war front. With Havensbrook as a hospital, she's shocked by the devastation the war is bringing home. But ever hopeful, she is determined to help these weary soldiers find some relief. However, not everything is as it seems in Havensbrook. Precious items soon start disappearing, and not just the kind that are worth a lot of money. Through a case of mistaken identity, a comedy of errors, a kidnapping, and a race for time within the crumbling subterranean passageways beneath Havensbrook, can Blake and Gracie work together to root out criminals, thieves, and spies before time runs out. Okay, up next, July 2nd. This is The Floating Copenhagen Cafe by Annabelle French. It is book 3 in the Floating Shop series and is 384 pages. Can summer love last forever? Millie is reeling from a recent heartbreak when she's offered a chance to go to Copenhagen for a gorgeous summer and help revive an idyllic but struggling cafe on the canal. She jumps at the chance for a fun, drama-free, solo summer floating along the Danish canals. The only problem with her plan? Theo, the cafe's beautiful but brooding chef, who challenges her at every turn. As they work together and their fiery connection grows, Millie wonders if she might have finally found everything she's been looking for. Their sizzling attraction is undeniable, But Millie and Theo have both been hurt before, and Millie worries that their carefully guarded hearts might be closed to love forever. As the summer draws to a close, Millie must decide. Will she fight for their relationship or retreat to her carefully curated life in England? Okay. This is Ask Me What I'm Reading by Eleanor Goemore. It releases on the 2nd of July and is 384 pages. And just the title alone was enough to make me gravitate towards this description. But I'll read you the description. Perfect for who cares? Every morning, Sophie boards the same train. Every morning, she spots him. Tall, unreadable, always with a novel in hand, often the same one she's reading. Soon their commute becomes a silent exchange of titles, a game only they seem to be playing. But how long can a love story stay between the lines before someone dares to take it off the page? Ask Me What I'm Reading is a slow burn romance about chance encounters, the love of books, and the quiet thrill of meeting someone who just gets it. I don't need anything else. I don't need anything else. Okay, this is releasing on the 2nd of July at 448 pages. This is Secrets of the Italian Guest House by Sue Moorcroft. And I will read you the description. Two sisters she's never met, a first love who's impossible to forget. For Jade, life in Lake Como is la dolce vita. Until her beloved grandmother passes, leaving Jade not just the family's bustling guest house to run, but two life-changing secrets to confront. The pension hasn't been left to Jade. It has also been inherited by her sisters, who she had no idea existed. As Aaron and Rosalie arrive in Italy, Jade is forced to face the heart-wrenching prospect of sharing her last remaining tie to the woman who raised her. Jade is desperately trying to hold on to the past, but there's one person she would prefer to leave firmly behind. Her first love, Leo. He's back in the city that is filled with memories they once made together. But as Jade fights to take control of her future and her heart, why do all the cobbled roads lead back to Leo? And this is the beginning of a trilogy. And I'm very, very intrigued. Okay. This is releasing on the 2nd of July. It is 334 pages. This is A Very French Corpse by Ian Moore. And this is the third book in the Loire Valley mystery series. And I will read you the description. An immortal found dead, an ancient legacy at risk. In the hallowed city of Tours, the death of a 16-year-old dressed as an immortal knight appears to be a tragic overdose. Judge d'instruction Matthew Lombard is called in to investigate. When weeks later, a provocative author is found brutally murdered, Lombard suspects the two deaths are connected by a sinister, coercive force. As he digs deeper, the case begins to challenge his loyalties and unearth disturbing echoes from his own past. What started as an apparent role play turns into something far darker and far deadlier. I'm intrigued. Okay, this is Love You More by Emily Giffen. It is 305 pages and releases on the 7th of July. And I will read you the description. Billy has built the perfect life. Her medical practice in New York City is thriving, and she's finally found the right partner in Dean after years spent trying to move on from her high school sweetheart Mick. Their young love has been intense and true, but distance and ambition pulled them apart when she left Wisconsin for medical school. Then one morning, just after she's accepted Dean's romantic marriage proposal, Billy's phone rings. It's Mick, calling for the first time in nearly a decade. His news is urgent, and in a moment, everything changes. As Billy boards a plane back to Wisconsin, her past comes rushing in. Her hometown friendships, the love she and Mick shared, and the choices that shaped them all. What awaits her is a reckoning with what she's lost, what she's built, and what she still wants. Gripping and deeply moving, Love You More is a story about the plot twists life throws at us, and how love, in all its forms, has the power to change everything. Also releasing the 7th of July is Star-Crossed Summer by Devin Daniels. It is 384 pages. And I've never read anything by this author, but the cover got me. I'm not going to lie, the cover got me. It has been 10 years since the fateful summer Scarlett Everhart filmed The Lost Letter, the tear-jerking romantic drama that catapulted her to worldwide fame and set her on a collision course with writer Perry, the movie's intense, irresistible leading man. The pair's fiery on-screen chemistry captured audiences' hearts, while their whirlwind affair off-screen shattered Scarlett's into a million pieces. Determined to move on, she made a vow to focus on her career, leave writer in her past, and never, ever look back. A decade later, Scarlett's kept that promise. She's become one of Hollywood's most bankable leading ladies and is on the cusp of the biggest role of her career. And if she's been unlucky in love, at least she's managed to put her ill-fated relationship with her former co-star and the public's obsession with the pair's star-crossed romance behind her. That is, until a sudden twist of fate thrust her and writer back together in the seaside South Carolina town where they first fell in love, then dramatically parted. As old sparks reignite, Scarlett is swept back into the love story that once defined her life, forcing her to reckon with the choices that tore them apart and the devastating secret she's been keeping since the breakup all those years ago. I'm intrigued, and that says a lot because I, as you all know, am not a huge fan of Hollywood stories. So, it's intriguing. Okay, releasing on the 8th of July at 352 pages, this is An Infinite Love Story by Chanel Cleaton. And I'm very interested. When Joe Mitchell launches into space, the world is watching. It is 1968, and the country waits with anticipation and excitement for another successful mission, another celebration as America sets its sights on the moon. And then comes the knock at the door. Joe Mitchell's spacecraft has lost contact. He and his fellow astronauts on board are feared to be dead. It's his wife Vivian's worst nightmare come to life, her grief suddenly taking center stage as the nation waits and mourns. In her quiet moments, Vivian relives their memorable story, unable to accept that this is the end to a love that felt as though it was written in the stars. As the investigation surrounding Joe's lost spacecraft intensifies, and the mishap is written off as operator error, Vivian is determined to clear her husband's name and uncover the mystery of what happened in space. When someone starts sending Vivian messages she believes only Joe could send, she begins to wonder if their love is stronger than space and time, and she'll do whatever it takes to bring her husband back to her. Yeah, I need to know. Definitely need to know. Oop, here's one out of place. This is releasing on the 7th of July. This is Most Ardently Yours by Freya Sampson. We all know I'm going to read this book and love every word of it. I'm going to read one line of the description, and then I don't want to know anything else. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single woman in possession of many romance novels must be in want of a book boyfriend. That's all I need to know. That's really all I need to know. Yeah. Okay, so I was right. These are out of order a little bit. Sorry about that. This is Until It Gets Real by Carolyn Brown. It is 336 pages, and it is part of the Paradise series. Caution, fake relationship in progress. Try not to fall in love. Charlotte Lottie Johnson, the only woman on her construction crew, has had enough of the catcalls, teasing, and flirting from the men on her team. So when she spots Callahan on the job site, she hatches a plan. A fake boyfriend arrangement to keep the guys in line. Knox agrees. After all, pretending to date Lottie might also keep his meddling Aunt Bernie from setting him up with a date every weekend. What starts as a simple arrangement soon is anything but, as the crew looks for signs to prove Lottie and Knox are pretending. Between long workdays, shared lunches, and stolen laughs, their make-believe romance begins to feel dangerously real. But while Knox's roots are planted deep in small-town soil, Lottie's work will send her hours and miles away. Settling down in one place might be scary, but that's what it will take to build a life together. Okay. Up next is an author I truly love and don't read enough of. Also releasing on the 7th of July. This is Icarus 17, and it is book 4 of Box 88. Have not read any of this series. It's 480 pages, and the man writes spy thrillers that are beyond top tier. Max Radinsky thought he was living the perfect life in Athens. But when his girlfriend, Yasmin, is forced to flee the city, Max joins her on a desperate journey across Greece. What begins as an escape becomes a fight for survival as the young couple are targeted by an international manhunt. Untrained and living off their wits, they know their luck won't last forever. Lachlan Kite, head of Covert Intelligence Service, Box 88, hasn't seen his former lover, Martha Rain, for more than 20 years. But when Martha begs his help in finding her missing son, Kite has no choice but to act. What they uncover is worse than either could have ever imagined. Yasmin is carrying a secret which could destabilize the Middle East for a generation, and a team of merciless Israeli intelligence agents have been given orders to kill her on sight. To save Max and stop a global crisis, Kite and Martha must reach the young couple before their pursuers close in. I need to read this series. I need to start prioritizing it. Another July 7th. And this is The Elias Conspiracy by Simon Gervas. It is book 3 of the Caspian Anderson series. And this is a thriller. After a brutal mission in France, former assassin Caspian Anderson recovers in the arms of German agent Lizelle Bergman on the shores of Majorca. But their peace is short-lived. Just when he thinks he could get used to the quiet, a journalist is abducted before his eyes, and Caspian is pulled back into a world he thought he had escaped. The trail leads to Hearts United, a global humanitarian organization whose noble facade conceals something far more sinister. As loyalties fracture and allies vanish, Caspian and Lizelle chase the truth across Europe, uncovering a network of corruption capable of reshaping nations and destroying anyone who stands in its way. As the pieces of the puzzle start coming together, more players enter the game, each one more unlikely than the last. Lizelle's sister, Caspian's brother, a former police officer, a wealthy philanthropist. Caught between family and duty, Caspian and Lizelle must expose the conspiracy and risk everything to protect the people who never saw it coming. I need to know. Okay. 9th of July. This is The Spy and the Snake. It is the second book of the Mrs. Spy series. I have not read the first book. It is by M.J. Rothbaum, and it is 368 pages. One mission, one fake husband, one very real problem. Maggie Flynn has finally earned her place at MI5, but with the promotion comes paperwork. No more disguises, no more danger, just meetings, memos, and the quiet realization that life feels a little too safe. With her daughter away at university and her spirited mother pursuing her own adventures, Maggie's days in London are starting to feel decidedly ordinary. So when a chance arises to return to the field, she does not hesitate. The assignment: fly to Budapest and pose as the wife of a notorious British defector in order to smuggle him back into the UK. It should be a straightforward operation. But Maggie Flynn has never done straightforward, and what's waiting in Budapest is anything but routine. As Cold War tensions simmer and shadows linger on every corner, Maggie finds herself navigating a city steeped in secrets and drawn to a mysterious stranger who may endanger the mission or steal her heart. I need to catch up and read this, because that is right up my alley. Okay. This is releasing July 10th. This is 384 pages. For Murder with Love by M.R.G. Davies. It is book 3 of the Cozy Crime Club mystery series. I have not read any of the series or this author before, but the cover is intriguing. Not all secrets stay buried with the dead. 4 members of Norchester's crime fiction reading group have been invited as guests of honor to a weekend celebrating the life of the late author of their favorite murder mystery detective novels. But when the author's secret archive is opened to the public after 50 years, there is a deadly surprise inside. The quartet find themselves embroidered in a mystery that stretches back to the Cold War. With an accomplished Russian spy close on their tail, a runaway train filled with treasures, and time running out, they will once again have to use everything they've learned from their fictional hero to catch the killer. I'm intrigued. Okay. A New Chapter at Midnight by Emily W. Anderson is 348 pages, and it is book 3 of the Midnights on the Square series. I loved the cover. It is the end of something good and the beginning of something even better in this enchanting third installment. For 3 years, Oriella, the owner of a London bookshop, has guarded an extraordinary secret. Each night, when the clock strikes midnight, her store comes alive with characters straight from the novels of Austen, Bronte, and Dickens. Even with her fiancé, Oliver, living upstairs, Oriella has managed to sneak into her shop each night without raising a single suspicion. But when her 14-year-old niece arrives for a summer holiday, Oriella may have underestimated a teenage girl's uncanny ability to see through her secrets and stumble into a few mysteries of her own. And when Oliver learns about the life Oriella's been hiding, she must find a way to rescue her wedding while protecting the legacy of her family's bookshop. I need to know. Even if I don't read the others in the series, I need to know. And if I didn't say, that releases the 13th of July. Okay. Well, this is wickedly out of sorts. Hang on. Okay. In theory, this is releasing the 14th of July. This is the 26th book in the Gabriel Alone series by Daniel Silva. That is Ransom. It is 416 pages in print length. I have all of this series on my Audible account, and I love them on Audible. That's where this one will go. No question about it. These are spy thrillers. I love them all. Alice Winter, one of Britain's most dazzling socialites, seemingly has the perfect life. A lavish home in posh Knightsbridge, a grand estate in Devon, millions of followers on social media who eagerly await her next post. But when she disappears without a trace while on holiday with 3 old friends from Cambridge, her desperate husband, the real estate baron Edward Knight, turns to none other than Gabriel Alone to find her. He soon discovers that Alice Winter is not the woman she appeared to be. She has a reckless side, that she has secrets. But Edward Knight has a secret too. A secret so dangerous that Gabriel will have no choice but to return to the life he thought he had left behind. An old enemy lurks, waiting for him to make one misstep, waiting for the perfect moment to exact revenge. When I say I love that series, I'm not even kidding. Okay. July 21st is the release date for The Secret Society of Librarians by Kate Thompson. It is 480 pages, and you can tell just from the cover that's historical fiction in World War II. Meeting through real-life secret society of librarians in London, 2 women form a close bond. When World War II hits, they take their libraries underground, creating a roaming underground library. But when one of them is taken to Poland and a concentration camp, they think there is no chance of ever being reunited again. This is an inspirational, true, and compelling story about friendship, everyday bravery, and the power of books, with a dual narrative set between London and Poland in the 1940s. Okay. I think the next 2 are nonfiction and Catholic at that. First up would be Stay With Me, Lord, 30 Days with Padre Pio by Susan D. Bartoli. It releases the 24th of July and is 128 pages. And it is published by Ave Maria Press. Discover the timeless counsel of Padre Pio, one of the most beloved and powerful spiritual guides of the 20th century, whose life was profoundly marked by intense suffering and extraordinary union with Christ. That's all I need to know. Nope, this is something different. I could have sworn there was more. If there is, we'll get to it. Okay, this is The Red Woman on Mars by Claire Barner. It releases the 28th of July and is 336 pages. And believe it or not, it is a Pride and Prejudice retelling. Vivian Bowen left Earth for Mars, seeking safety and a fresh start after 7 long years trapped in a climate refugee camp. She's determined to fulfill her contract as a Red Mother by selecting a Martian partner and bearing genetically modified children to fund her family's survival back on Earth. In 60 days, everything will be secure. But beneath the glamorous lifestyle of the Martian oligarchs, with luxurious gowns, lavish balls, and charming suitors, lies a dark reality. The Red Mother's initiative is controlled by the intelligence, an AI worshipped as God, who's indifferent to the pain and suffering the Red Mothers will experience as they carry out their contractual duties. The last thing Vivian expected expects is to be drawn to Xavier Dorsey, a charismatic and infuriating Martian politician hell-bent on shutting down the Red Mother's initiative. As Xavier pushes her to examine a life beyond mere survival, Vivian is torn between her obligation to her family and her own evolving dreams of a different future. When her younger sister is seduced by a dangerous Martian soldier and breaks her contact, threatening the lives of their family back on Earth, Vivian is forced to act. Joining forces with Xavier and the intelligence to rescue her sister while infiltrating an enemy Martian dome, Vivian discovers a strength and power inside herself she never knew she had. Caught between the security she's always craved and a future filled with passion and uncertainty, Vivian must decide how much she's willing to sacrifice for freedom and love. Okay. This is Death at King's Cross, a 4 Queens of Crime mystery by Roseanne Limoncelli. It is the second book in the series, releases the 21st of July, and it is also 336 pages. And the 4 Queens of Crime are Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, Marjorie Allingham, and Diego March. 1941 London. When DCI Lillian Wales finds a young woman murdered at King's Cross Station, she needs the help of someone she can trust. But Richard Davison, her former Scotland Yard partner, has joined MI5 and is busy tracking black market routes outside of London. So for now, she's on her own. After having met the 4 Queens of Crime during a murder investigation 2 years earlier, DCI Wiles has kept in touch. But Agatha, Dorothy, Marjorie, and Diego are all involved in the war effort and have problems of their own. Agatha is volunteering at University Hospital Pharmacy, where a dangerous anesthetic has been stolen. Dorothy has heard unsettling information from her connections at the BBC regarding members of the Royal Navy. Marjorie, who has been in the countryside helping families escape the city from the bombing, is worried about one of her charges, whose older sister has gone missing. And Diego, who has relocated to New Zealand and is volunteering as an ambulance driver, has begun gathering secret intelligence from wounded soldiers and sailors that may put her in danger. When the 4 Queens contact DCI Wiles for help, the information they share makes the final pieces of the puzzle fall into place. DCI Wiles once again finds herself collaborating with her old partners in crime to solve the mystery and close the case in this thrilling sequel. I'm intrigued. Okay, up next, releasing on July 21st. Sorry, this is so out of order. It's not like me. At 352 pages is The Story Keeper by Kelly Rimmer. I have not read her, but I'm intrigued. In the aftermath of a tumultuous year, Fiona Winslow finds solace in the decaying grandeur of Worimbria, a rambling family estate she once called home. Intent on restoring it, she discovers the keys to more than just the dilapidated mansion. Beneath the crumbling plaster and dust are secrets that have been buried. Excuse me. It's not the company, I promise. A generation. When a curious book, The Midnight Estate, catches her attention in her late uncle's library, Fiona is plunged into a tale that mirrors her own, a story of love, loss, and betrayal. But as the lines between fiction and reality blur, Fiona must ask herself, is the true mystery the one hidden within the walls of her ancestral home, or is it within the pages of a book that chose her as much as she chose it? Gothic mystery, I'm interested. Okay, here's the other Catholic nonfiction I was referring to. This is To Set the World on Fire, Praying with the Jesuits by Thomas Kederick. And this one is 192 pages. This one is published by Loyola Press. To Set the World on Fire invites readers into a steady rhythm of prayer rooted in the 4 universal apostolic preferences adopted at the 36th General Congregation of the Society of Jesuits in 2019. These 4 universal apostolic preferences are showing the way to God, walking with the excluded, journeying with the youth, and caring for our common home. I will say I am interested. However, I will say I'm also incredibly leery, and I will wait for reviews for this one to come in because it is a recent adoption by the Jesuits, and if you know anything about the Jesuits, they have strayed so far from their past and the faith that I am amazed they're still part of it. Thus ends my Catholic commentary for the day. Okay, up next is The City of Promises by Victoria Thompson and Ellen Thompson. It is a counterfeit lady novel. It is releasing on the 28th of July and is also 336 pages. Elizabeth Bates must use everything she knows about the art of the con to stop a fellow scammer in his tracks. In this first ever thrilling crossover in the Victoria Thompson universe, featuring characters from her best-selling Gaslight mystery series. Famed former police detective turned private investigator Frank Malloy and his wife Sarah come to Gideon Bates desperate for legal guidance. The Malloys' adopted daughter Catherine, a burgeoning star on the stage, has announced her engagement to a man she barely knows. Catherine recently gained access to her trust fund, and Sebastian Talbot appears very eager to marry her as quickly as possible. As Gideon and his wife, Elizabeth, investigate, it becomes all the clearer that Talbot may not be who he says he is. As a former con artist herself, Elizabeth suspects one may be in their midst. Undeterred by her pregnancy, she must also pull out all the stops to outswindle a swindler and save another woman from ruin. I'm definitely intrigued. Another book from Loyola Press by the same man is Father Thomas Kederick. Releases on the 28th of July. That is The Mass, the Eucharist, and the Spiritual Exercises, A Journey to Jesus. This book shows how the Mass, the Eucharist, and the spiritual exercises together form a single continuous journey toward God. It offers a clear and practical guide for living daily life as a pilgrimage with Christ. Drawing on the insights of St. John Paul II and St. Ignatius of Loyola, it also helps readers carry the fruits of a retreat Yes, I need to eat lunch. Fruits of the retreat into their weekly participation at Mass. Okay, this is releasing the 28th of July, 384 pages. That is Sea of Charms by Sarah Beth Durst. It is the 3rd book of the Quartet of the Spell Shop series. I have started the 1st book. I returned it to the library, not because the book was bad, but because I wasn't in the mood to read it. This is fantasy, and it was absolutely, the 1st book was, what I had read was fabulous. So I'll read you the description. Marin has always belonged on the Great Blue Sea. Betrayed by love, Marin lives and works as a supply runner. sailing from island to island, delivering an array of goods with Perry the sea serpent and Ree the sailor shrub as her crew. One of her routine trips to the capital, Elysium, Marin finds a revolution underway, and her friend Dax in the line of fire. What starts as a rescue evolves into a deal. Marin will keep Dax on as a member of her crew if he pretends to be her boyfriend at the end of Harvest Festival back home. But against her better judgment, Marin finds herself intrigued by his stubbornness, his passion for stories, his charming smile, and realizes that perhaps she isn't saving him. Maybe it's the other way around. I need to go get the first book again. Okay. Releasing on the 28th of July, this is Fossil Feud by Maggie North. It is 384 pages. Renegade paleontologist Ripley Adams is this close to digging up a fossil treasure and vindication. She spent the last 3 years in academic exile after her ex-boyfriend stole her work, betrayed her trust, and broke her heart in one fell swoop. If she can unearth a complete specimen of her newest discovery, a never-before-seen missing link between dinosaurs and birds, it will put her back on the map and finally restore her ruined reputation. But when unfairly hot Oxford professor James Smithson crashes Ripley's dig site, she realizes she's not the only one searching for redemption in the Montana dirt. James is convinced the splashy new fossil is a fraud, and he needs Ripley's help to prove it. She tells the buttoned-up Brit where to stick his suspicions, but the fake fossil is eerily similar to hers, and the fraudster is her ex. The race is on to reveal a T-Rex-sized discovery. Polar opposites, Ripley and James, will have to find common ground if they're going to take down a hoax that could ruin them both. And as they dig deeper into their unlikely attraction, Ripley's excavation boots won't be the only thing that gets a little dirty. Next up, releasing on the 21st of July, wow, I did a really bad job, at 384 pages, is Yes, Chef by Grace Riley. And yes, Kahlua, you're so unloved. I know, you're so unloved. Oh, how do you stand it? If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. After a public meltdown in the dining room of one of Manhattan's most elite restaurants, Chef Jack Hartman is back in his South Florida hometown. Angry, grieving, and saddled with the unwanted storefront his late mentor left him, his life is spinning out of control. And that's before Poppy Winfield, the blonde, bubbly, infuriating daughter of his former boss, shows up at his dock. Poppy needs to escape from her family, her ex-boyfriend, and her reputation as someone who has never taken anything seriously. But more than that, she wants to prove herself. She has just the plan to do it. Unfortunately, that plan involves Jack Hartman, the most arrogant, intimidating man she's ever had the pleasure of throwing shrimp at. Luckily, Poppy has the perfect deal proposal. Working together to open a revamped version of his mentor's restaurant. He'll handle the menu, and she'll use her social media influence to sell the hell out of its grand opening. If she and Jack can make it a success, it'll be an accomplishment no one can deny, and a ticket for both of them to return to New York. Jack is intrigued, but only on his terms. If Poppy is going to do this right, she must learn the ropes of the entire business, including how to cook, from him. As sparks fly both in and out of the kitchen and tensions reach a boiling point, Poppy and Jack are left wondering, could they be a perfect pairing, or is this whole experiment a recipe a recipe for disaster? Okay, July 28th, and it's 368 pages. This is Meet Me in Paris by Christian Harmel. The cover's pretty, but I don't know. Nine Americans in Paris, 7 intertwined love stories, 1 city of light. Julia Glover has brought her 23-year-old daughter Piper to Paris for the first time, but they know it will also be their last trip here together. Julia is dying, and as the mother and daughter desperately try to make memories together, as the clock ticks down, the world opens up around them. Piper meets a cute French waiter, who might just understand her better than anyone she's ever met, and Julia meets a man at a dive bar and struggles with how to tell him the truth about her future. Rock star Jackson Quirk's glory days are behind him. He's had a handful of hit songs 30 years ago, but he hasn't toured in decades. This week, he'll launch his reunion tour in Paris, the city where it all began, but he wants more out of life than being defined by fame. When he meets a woman who finally sees him for who he is at his core, the ground shifts beneath his feet. Henry McGee has been writing hit songs for decades, including Jackson Quirk's biggest hit, City of Light. But his secret is that every love song he's ever written is for a woman named Celeste, whom he loved a lifetime ago, when they were both teenagers in Paris during World War II. He has spent 80 years believing she died. But when a letter arrives telling him the opposite, he's on the first flight to France. Can he break through the haze of her dementia, using the songs he's written all these years, to remind her of who they once were to each other, and to tell her he came back for her? Henry's granddaughter Melody has just discovered that her husband of 20 years, Giles, a French cosmetics executive, is having an affair. When she confronts him, he tearfully apologizes and begs her to be forgiven. But can she? And perhaps, even more importantly, does she want to? Or is there a different kind of life out there if she chooses to be alone? These intertwining stories, plus several others, unfold over a few breathtaking spring days as the unforgettable group of Americans in Paris must find their own versions of happily ever after in the city of light. Okay. Releasing on the 30th of July, this is The Nile Cruise by Caroline James. It is 384 pages. Will an adventure sailing the River Nile turn the tide for Hattie? Hattie Mulberry is exhausted, worn out from the demands of everyone around her. She is long overdue for a break. So she decides to take a holiday. The adventure of a lifetime, following in the footsteps of her literary hero, Agatha Christie. Before Hattie knows it, she's embarked on the glamorous Nile cruise. Not only a voyage steeped in history and world-famous sights, but one where the passengers are almost as fascinating as the views from her luxurious cabin. As an eclectic band of travelers journey between ancient temples and legendary tombs, guided by the handsome Egyptologist Sam, secrets surface, desires awaken, and tensions simmer beneath the Egyptian sun. Will the magic of moonlit nights on the Nile bring romance and renewal? Or will the infamous curse of Tutankhamun cast a shadow when least expected? I'm definitely intrigued. Okay. And one last book. That is The Lizard by L.J. Ross. And it is the 5th book in the Summer Suspense series. Stomach, shut up. And it is no page count because... Okay. It releases the 30th. There is nothing so deadly as the sea and the woman who survives it. Callum Ains was finally living the dream. After years of grafting, he was the proud owner of Cornwall's newest restaurant, The Lizard, named the peninsula upon which it sat, perched high on a cliff top overlooking the sea. When he wasn't whipping up culinary feasts, he volunteered at the nearby lifeboat station, serving as crew with a team who risked their lives regularly to save others. With no immediate plans to settle down, life was pretty much perfect. When a distress signal comes through one stormy night from a luxury yacht, Callum is ready to answer the call. Too late to save the vessel, they search raging seas for survivors, but find only one. A woman with no name, no memory, and the capacity to turn his world upside down. Yeah, I need to know. I'm just going to say I need to know. I haven't read any of the other ones, and I'm going to have to find them. Okay, so those are all the titles in July that caught my attention. Have I missed something that you're excited for? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, and the Sleeping Clue and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.